It is October 10th here in, what is this, Hennepin?
Well, it's called the Mpls Plaza now.
And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Diana Turner, D-I-A-N-A-T-U-R-N-E-R, and I am a resident of Minnesota. I've been here all my life. I've traveled around the world and I keep coming back. My family's here, and ultimately this is one of the most amazing communities in many, many ways. Indicative of how this operation is happening. If you're paying any attention to what's going on in the rest of the world, there's really a lot of revolt happening. There's demonstrations happening all over, and there's a unification about being peaceful and democratic, and really about unification. And so when we've seen what's happened in New York and San Fran with the police brutality, we weren't sure what we were going to face here. And yet, because Minnesotans are who we are, and we praise civility amongst everything else, we're actually all getting along, and we're actually supporting one another. And our biggest goal right now is to keep people safe. So we have done a bang-up job at providing a safe space where people can actually freely express themselves. Now, on the other hand, there are a huge segment of the population that don't have that privilege. They haven't been raised with that kind of mentality. And so we need to create ways, new ways of meaningful construction that are not based on a white privileged forum. So we're in debate right now internally is if these GAs that are going on everywhere else is the optimum way of engaging people of color, people of different classes, and different age genders. For example, GAs tend to take 3 hours long. Not everybody has a 3-hour time commitment every day, and that's what happens is GAs tend to go, and GA is a General Assembly, and a General Assembly is a group of people that decides to get together and makes consensus decisions based on the needs of the community.
Which is what's going on now. Which is
going on right now, but we haven't been able to get operational in terms of really being effective.
What does that mean, operational? What do you mean by that?
Everybody's asking, what's your message? What's your message? Well, try to get 100 group of people who all have different ideologies and different perspectives to agree on anything. So we have to train each other what that process is. What is a moderator? What's a timekeeper? What is the most effective way of being able to lobby and get people to agree with you? It doesn't happen in argument. What happens, it's a process that allows us to work with each other off-site or off point, and we start talking about what it is that we want. And so if I can get you to agree with me, and we go and we get somebody else to agree with me, we start building a coalition for this idea. And once that idea is hashed out amongst ourselves during the day and over a couple of days, then we can go to the GA and present a very solid proposal. All of the arguments have been worked out because we've been talking to people in the community. And then it can be processed really, really quickly because it's been hammered out in a real-time format. And we don't have to get into arguments. There might be points of questioning or clarification, but then something can get voted on and everybody's in agreement because we did our due diligence beforehand.
Sounds like you've said this a lot. Are you one of the organizers?
Yes, I am.
And so when did you start getting involved in this process of Organized Minnesota?
7 days before we occupied.
Which was 4 days ago.
Well, right, so that's 7 times 4, I can't even think right now.
So 11 days ago?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and what made you bring Minnesota Nice to occupy Wall Street?
Well, I think you can't separate yourself from your own culture, right? So Minnesota Nice needs to be tweaked, though. I don't like that term. Minnesota Nice does not serve me very well. Civility serves me very well. Being tolerant serves me well. Compassion serves me even better. And I don't think that Minnesota Nice is anything about compassion. I don't think Minnesota Nice is anything about empathy. And so what we need to do is we need to incorporate empathy and compassion and the ability to listen to each other, to really hear with not just our ears but our hearts. And that will give encouragement to others to be able to maybe break free from the stigma that they don't have a right to speak. So many people do not grow up with the culture that an opinion is valued or that it's even warranted. So we have to provide a way for folks to be able to overcome their hesitancy that there might be a repercussion that they spoke their mind. Everybody has a chance to speak their mind here, but not everybody does yet. And so we're working on that. We're working on ways that we can create empathy and compassion and tolerance and the ability to listen to each other. And that happens overnight. And the beautiful thing is that our institutions don't do that. There's no forum for those qualities in our institutional dialogue. So we're doing something different here, and it's important because it's going to change our hearts and it's going to change the way we think. And if we can connect our head to our heart, nothing can stop us.
Well, what changes have you seen in the 4 days you've been here so far?
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. People are starting to trust each other. We start seeing familiar faces. We greet each other with, "I'm so glad you're here," a hug or a kiss or a rubbing of an elbow. There's spontaneous music and poetry and artistic expression that wasn't here 2 days ago. So we are starting to cohese as a community and organize. We're actually able to start being able to think, what's missing? Where are the holes? Somebody stands up and says, "I'll do it," and then they do it. If we need something, we can communicate with our 24/7 People's channel, and we can put a call out. We need power. All of a sudden, we have solar panels. We need more batteries. 2 hours later, we get batteries.
Today, so you're not funded by anybody?
We're not. I needed a data card 15 minutes ago, and Patty came up to me and just pulled out her money, and she flipped off $50 and handed it to me. Go get the data card. That's how it works.
Okay, now this is Columbus Day. How does that impact? Is that one of the issues of your coalition?
Well, we don't call it that. We're not recognizing it. It's Indigenous Peoples Day. And today later at, I think 3 o'clock, the Indigenous leaders are coming, and we're going to have ceremony and drums and speakers, and folks are going to get educated on the real issues, because the First Peoples Nations, they know what the issues are. They've been doing this a long time. We talk about a recession, or we talk about being pinched. Native American folks have been pinched for over 500 years. Or, well, actually, it's what, 200 years? It's been 200 years. But, you know, across, if we extend the skeleton across from Canada, there's been a 500-year occupation of peoples. So we have to remember these peoples all the way along this continent that were here before we ever came. And do we ever listen to that story, or do we honor their ways? And now all of a sudden that the resources are wearing out, we're going, oh, what do we do? And the Indigenous people are saying, well, we know. Take the path that's green and lush. Don't go back to the way that you know, because that's scorched. You know, that's black. We know what that looks like. Come on this way, because it's beautiful down here, and we can all get along, and we all have enough if we work together and we get I out of the equation and we start talking about we.
Okay, now you've talked about building a coalition. What do you think are the major coalitions that are here so far?
Well, we have Ron Paulites, we have Marxists, we have socialists, we have anarchists, we have Christians, we have Indigenous folks, we have pagans, we have GLBT. I mean, everybody is represented here, and the coalitions are gelling around the things that mean most to them. And I think if you look at the root of all of the reasons why we're not able to implement our ideas, is that it comes down to those corporations are controlling the system, and they do not play fair, and they do not care about the people. And so we have to take back our power and our authority and say no more.
So, is this a political coalition, or a social coalition, or what are the elements of it?
All of the above. Because everything is political, and everything is social.
Well, how is this going to translate to votes? That's what's going to change the power structure.
Well, we don't really care about that right now. I mean, it's about loving each other right now. It's about being able to understand what makes you tick. I want to understand what my sister over there feels about how she's been treated, and how her babies, her son, might not be welcomed on the streets. She's got to act in a certain way that I don't have to treat my son. That's not right. Why should she treat her son any different the way I treat my son, because she's concerned about his safety? I don't like that. I don't want to live in a world like that. So the only way that I can understand that is if I listen. and I get to know what the situation is, because truthfully, most white people in Minnesota don't understand, and they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue at really what it's about, and they have a chance here to really learn. I invite you all to come out and hear the Indigenous people tell their stories and share their teachings, because it's what we need.
Okay, any last words? Anything you haven't said in 11 days of organizing?
Just come out and taste it. Just feel the excitement, because this is not a drill, people. We've all been waiting for the revolution. We've all been waiting for change. Since the 60s, we see it, the Arab Spring, and we all thought, wow, I wonder when it's going to happen. Well, it's happening now, so come join us.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.